Sony Michel called it quits and retired from the NFL. That running back position is just brutal, man. It is ravaging. It tears you apart. And we saw Sony Michel make the most of it in the NFL and win 2 Super Bowls. And he's had a pretty good career, man. And I don't blame him for hanging it up now. He's probably feeling every single hit he's ever taken in the league.
It made me feel old, is what I would say. Made me feel real damn old because I was not exactly a young man when Sony Michel committed to Georgia. And it was actually the first signing day that I worked, and I hung out at the Blind Pig with Jake Rowe and had a chance to cover that one. And I remember that was, Isaiah McKenzie hopped on that day. It was an exciting time, man. And, one of the stories I always heard about Sony Michel was that, and I thought it spoke a lot to who he was and what he was about. I won't mention who told me the story, though if they want to later on, they can. But I heard that Sony Michel came into Mark Richt's office and sat down with him after a visit, and Mark Richt said, listen, there's a lot of people that are going to offer you a lot of things because you're a really special player and you're an impactful guy. And we're not going to do that because that's not what we do. And we don't want to jeopardize your future in any way. And that was kind of what compelled Sony Michel to land with Georgia, that Georgia kind of took that approach with him, that Mark Richt took that approach with him. And I think that really speaks a lot to who he is, who he was at that time. My God, dude, if you'd given me $100,000 when I was 17 years old, I didn't know telling what I'd have done. I'd have signed with
nothing good.
I would have signed with UT Martin, but baby, I mean, that is no question. But I think that was really cool. And then also too, he and Chubb coming back, how that propelled and springboarded Georgia into the place that it is now. And I'll never forget them sitting in those chairs and being the confetti raining down on them and how sad that moment was. But then to think about how great everything has been since and how they almost got him to the mountaintop, even in what was not one of Georgia's more talented squads at the time. I think it speaks a lot to both of those guys, Sonny included. Nothing but gracious, nothing but great. A damn good dog and certainly a hero, I think, to a lot of people.
Well, something that Georgia fans don't want to hear, I'm sure, because they're tired of hearing it from other fan bases. But the truth is the truth here. The injury to Michel in that national championship game changed that whole ball game.
Yeah.
He got hurt in the Rose Bowl, I believe, or I think he got hurt in the SEC championship and was playing hurt in the Rose Bowl. It was either a groin or a quad, something in his leg. I can't remember. But he exited that national championship and couldn't come back in. And he was having the most success against Bama. And when you have the rotation that Georgia had with Chubb and Michel, I think losing Michel in that game, Swift did all he could. But not having Chubb and Michel in that game was pretty detrimental to Georgia in the long run. But the impact he had while he was there and being part of that group that decided to come back, Kirby Smart owes Sony Michel a lot of credit for that national championship run and for the foundation of what Georgia football is right now.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a transitional period, I think, is the best way to describe those early years. And, as somebody that didn't, crazy to say I wasn't covering the team then, and watched from afar,
like 8th grade.
I was a senior in high school. Come on. I was an accepted student to UGA by the time that Georgia was playing for an SEC championship. No, but it was cool to watch those guys from afar, watch Georgia, make a, return to relevancy, because a year before I had been, on a college visit watching Georgia lose to Vanderbilt.
Whew. Tough times, man. Different times for sure.
Nicholls State also that year.
That whole thing just didn't feel real.
No, I agree. That felt like a fever dream.
But anyways, I know y'all are paying your respects to Sony Michel. Tons of respect for him from everyone on this show, of course. And we'll see the Jazz hands. Look forward to seeing what Sony Michel does next, man.